Okay, so this next story arc for the MLP Comics I'm going to review doesn't really have a story arc name. At least I didn't see one. It was a two-part story anyway, so for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to call it issues 21 to 22. And, again, this was a two-part story that was just I think it was meant to be like a nice little calming story, like something fun after, the emotional feels after the four-part Earth 2, I'm just going to call it Earth 2 with ponies epic. And this felt really good. This was a nice little feel-good story. It had a nice little heart to it. My only thing is that I kind of wish it was a full story arc, not just a little two-part story arc. I know how in the MLP Comics, and this is kind of true in a majority of a lot of IDW comics. You see this as a lot with IDW comics, but you see this the most with the MLP Comics, is that you see it doing these four-part stories. And I feel like this one should have been at least one part longer, or at least a full story arc, because this one kind of wrapped up too quickly. Having said that, though, it is a fun story. It's a nice little fun story, and I do enjoy it. Now, the story is that Rarity, Fluttershy, Applejack, Apple Bloom, and Babseed, which is, by the way, before we go any further, that's a weird team to take on right there. That is a weird... and also this is kind of weird, because it's them at this thing called, they're in Manhattan. We don't know why. They kind of allude to it's something to do with Rarity. It's supposed to be set during Rarity Takes Manhattan, which made my head scratch because, wait, Rarity Takes Manhattan. Rarity was way too busy to be at the Carnegie Hall or whatever they were calling it. And they're going to go see Trixie. They're going to go see Trixie play and do a magic show involving a lost diamond. And, again, it's not the full group. We don't know what happened to Rainbow Dash, Twilight, or Pinkie Pie. But it's just Rarity, Fluttershy, Applejack, Apple Bloom, and Babseed, which I think is a really cool... That's an interesting team. That is an interesting team to work around. And then eventually Trixie joins. So you have the most hodgepodge team of, the pseudo-main six. You've got two supporting characters, three supporting characters and three main characters in the show, from the show in here to make a group of six. And, yeah. So pretty much, like I said, they go to see Trixie do a performance, and she's doing her performance, and this is the first time Babseed has seen Trixie play, and she's just totally enamored. And then suddenly, when Trixie does this whole disappearing act with a diamond, with a very precious diamond, the diamond disappears, and she doesn't know what happened. Well, she was going to make it disappear, then reappear, but it doesn't come back. So it turns out that Trixie's been working with the police of Manhattan to catch this jewel thief called Rough Diamond, and they use Trixie's help to get the perpetrator out in the open and arrest her. So, however, what happens is that the diamond is stolen, and it proceeds to have Trixie be framed. So, but only the group try to stick up for Trixie, and then they kind of become pretty much fugitives after being framed, and it's up to them to clear Trixie's name as well as clear their names. Again, it's a fun romp. It feels very much like the Great Muppet Caper. I feel like that's where the story was coming from, was that it was a very Great Muppet Caper-esque story. And there's a fun little reference to the original G1 cartoon. It's tiny, and I had to go back and look at it. I didn't notice it. It's something to do with the safe. You'll figure it out, hopefully. But yeah, this is kind of fun. It's nice. It's actually kind of cool to see the interaction between Babseed and it's cool to see the interaction between Babseed and Trixie. It's actually because they're kind of they're both kind of like former villains. Even though Babseed wasn't really a villain, she was more like too self-conscious to be made fun of as a blank flank. And she kind of goes back and tells Trixie, hey, I wasn't great either after, And I really like that bonding. And of course, most of you guys know that Trixie's one of my favorite characters from the show, so it's always kind of fun to see her have... And she's also very over the top, but even Rarity's like, are you kidding me right now? The other thing is that Fluttershy doesn't really do a lot. She's just there to go meep and all that, just to say a few lines. It mostly, if anything, the ones it has the most focus on with interaction with Trixie is Babseed and Applejack hanging out with Trixie the most, but Fluttershy and Rarity and Apple Bloom do get to do stuff, and it is really cool. It's a fun little, it's, again, like I said earlier, it is just nothing more than a fun little romp, And even though, I'm kind of weird of, like, where's this take place and where, they didn't even say of mentioning passing of, oh, we traveled all the way to Manhattan to see this. Because I imagine Manhattan's pretty far away from Ponyville, mind you. But, yeah. So we pretty much cut up to the second part where everything kind of gets wrapped up really quick, and Babseed, of all people, figures it all out. That one of the police officers was pretending to be was pretty much Rough Diamond the whole time, and trying to frame Trixie and all that, and she's caught, and story on a whole is fun. So yeah, this was pretty fun. It was also kind of funny because the recent issue of MLP Friends Forever, which is pretty much Marvel Team Up with Ponies. That is pretty much what it is, people. It's Marvel Team Up with Ponies, but with that story, it was actually Trixie teaming up with Rainbow Dash to escape a Diamond Dog Kingdom, which was a lot of fun as well. So it was a lot of Trixie. A lot of Trixie this month. Or next month. It was a lot of Trixie in MLP Comics, so here's to hoping we see her again in Season 5. Yeah. Come on. More Trixie. Yeah, let's do this. More Trixie. But, once again, it's a fun story. It's a fun little two-part story that you can pick up. If you're a fan of, like, Trixie, because this is very centric on her, and if you're a fan of Babseed, and as well as, Fluttershy, Rarity, and Applejack, then by all means, I'd say check this out. This was a lot of fun. But that's really all I can say about this one. It's not like with the other one where it was like this huge 4-part epic. But again, like I said earlier, I feel like this should have been a little longer, at least one, maybe just a 3-parter to kind of wrap, because this felt like it wrapped up way too quickly, and the mystery just kind of, just like a light bulb moment for Babs. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, the mystery of how the diamond was stolen was really good, but when you think back on it, you're suddenly like, well, yeah, it does make sense that one of the police officers turns out to be Rough Diamond. It suddenly makes sense. I wish there was more mystery to it, so that's kind of why I wish there was a bit more, it was a little more stretched out. Like, we got to expand a little more. But I feel like this was just meant to be a fun filler story after, what we had after the last few issues. But yeah, once again, I really did enjoy this story despite its shortness, and yeah, if you love this story, if you like these kind of characters, and you want to see them all interact, I'd say pick up this little 2-parter. Anyway, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.